What's going on, everybody? I think you can hear me. I am going ahead and going to get rid. There we go, everybody. I am trying to do this all from my phone. I am also on Cash's Streetlights YouTube. I'm going to be on it for a little bit. This is going to be a whopping like 15 minutes review. I'm going to be looking at the comments, giving my opinion, and giving my thoughts on whatever that was of a hour something press conference. What it was embarrassing. What I want to be very clear to start this out with is that this is our president. I am not pretending anything different, and I will respect him as our president. Does not mean I have to like what is coming out of his mouth, which was utter and complete bull crap. So this is again on the Be the Change page, and I encourage you guys, if you're watching from Cash's Streetlights page, to try to watch this over at either youtube.com/Be the Change USA or on the Facebook page. But I want to make sure as many people got to watch this as possible. Please share it from the Be the Change page. For those of you that didn't watch the press conference, I get it. I know a lot of people didn't want to. A lot of people turned it off midway through. Go ahead and share this while we talk about today's dumpster fire. So here's what happened today. Joe Biden had very, very strict instructions next to him of who to ask when, which is not common for any press conference I have ever seen in my whole entire life. He also had a note card. It was very interesting how he asked specific people, specific question, and then actually had the note card even said, I'm pulling out my note card. You guys probably already know this, and answered it perfectly in line with what they were asking. That was the only times his thoughts were basically lucid. But then he would go off rails and talk about stuff that had nothing to do with the question asked. One big thing he talked about was the filibuster. I have mixed opinions on a filibuster. I see the purpose. I do think they're overused. It took three times for him to actually answer that he was going to go ahead and try to get rid of the filibuster. Now, somebody commented on one of my posts, that's not the executive branch's role or decision. That is very correct. Kudos, you understand a little bit about the way the government works. What you don't understand is how politics works. When the executive branch is willing to make a change, when they have a full House and Senate on their side by numbers, that means that you are setting the ball in motion, because what the House and what the Senate waits for, it's kind of the green light from the executive branch that they are going to be backed by it. So that is definitely a big step for him to, after three times being asked, answer the question. There were several times he was asked a question, didn't really answer it. One time a reporter pressed him and he goes, I answered that question, and he moved on to somebody else. He did not answer the question. He also said things like 120 years ago when I entered Senate. I don't know if it was a joke or if he was talking about when the filibuster, and I don't know what he was even talking about. Here's a quick hint. When you tell a joke, make sure you crack a smile afterwards or laugh, so we know that you're not just losing your mind. Again, part of the reason I wanted to come on here is I made some comments on my personal page about how bad it was, and I explained why, and some very few, but a couple of my Democrat friends, because I encouraged them to tell me what they thought was positive. What was positive about today's speech? Give me an idea. What was positive? Donna, he is your president. I just have to say it. We don't have to like it, but he is. Let's be better than the previous administration situation where everybody said, not my president. We're better than that. We respect the fact that somebody holds that office named Joe Biden, and at the same time, we can still talk about how poor of a job he's doing and how he's ignoring the biggest things of the country, which we're going to get to the border, because that's the most ridiculous way that he answered some of the questions and the biggest issues. So, yeah, he did. He looked like dad looking at a ceiling. So ultimately, he was challenged to, first off, there was a lot of questions teed up. Let's be very clear. So I was challenged by my friend saying, how can you talk shit about a press conference, and how does that have anything to do with unity? And I'm so sick of people who have literally just slammed me for a calendar year talk shit about things that were false. Like they were the top ones that said, he said to inject yourselves with bleach. Totally a lie. Never actually happened. He also said the things about hydroxychloroquine, how crooked it was, and he caused somebody to swallow chloroquine and all these different things. And over this, those groups of people that were my friends legitimately slammed me, called me ignorant, called me a sheep, called me a follower, called me blind, called me a racist, called me a xenophobe, all these different things. I posted this on my wall today, and they said to me, how dare you be somebody that says be the change and calling for unity, because I actually have an opinion on why today's speech was absolute garbage. Garbage. You have the right to say it's not your president. That's you totally have the right. But I think we're better than that. I agree. You can say whatever you want. It's America. They had the right to say it, but I also think that we should be better than that. I think we are better than that. I'm sick of Biden blaming. Yes, 100% agree. So that's where I'm going to get into. So here's the deal. Here's the deal, which he said 17 times. If you're playing a drinking game, you'd have been hammered. So he talked about certain things, and again, this is the party calling for unity, when he was consistently bringing up the relationship to Trump and how Trump failed, instead of taking any self-responsibility. When the border right now, there is no way that a Democrat can look at me and look me in the face and tell me that this is a Trump issue. These people coming from across the border, and not just Mexico, mostly from Central America, making their way up, felt as though they were invited with the rhetoric of Biden. Cool. Biden even said during the speech today, he goes, maybe I should take it as a compliment. I think I'm a nice guy, which is the dumbest, whatever. That's absolutely absurd. So he essentially is the reason why these people go, he's going to have open borders. He's been saying it. He's been speaking it. He's been talking about how he's going to give voting rights, and he's going to give all these different things to illegal immigrants. He's also said we shouldn't be calling them illegal anymore. There's all these different things that are inviting them in. And now that they're at the border trapped, he's taking zero responsibility. So again, I started commenting on this, and the people that on my post that said that I was no longer about be the change or spreading unity, I don't know how difficult or who needs to hear this, but sometimes if you're not willing to have a conversation, there is no unity, because all you've been doing is slamming one side, and including slamming me, for example, for the last, I don't know, 10 months, 11 months, thinking that I'm an idiot. But now, because I challenge a thought process and encourage you to do the same, now I'm the one that's not spreading unity. Y'all need to take a quick look at yourselves. And this is why these videos are so important. I encourage you to share them, like them, laugh at them, whatever you want. I don't care. Please do it so that the message continues to get out there and grow with Be the Change. Because be the change does not mean the same thing to every person. Be the change to me means showing people that are change makers, showing people that are creating change in the world, people that are doing better, and also pointing out all the missteps of our government that is continuously dividing our country, because one side is getting an unfair shake. One side is getting an unfair look by the media and giving them carte blanche to do whatever the hell they please. Literally today, they spoke slowly to Joe Biden like he was a senior citizen or child, one or the other, when they gave these questions. So I talked about the filibuster and his 120-year non-joke joke, don't know, right? Cool. Now let's talk about the issues with the border, which some of the reporters challenged him and said, there was this 12-year-old boy, etc. And he even, it's so bad. Oh, it's, I can't even imagine. Then he came up with the statistic that 1.5% of the children at the border that are 1.5% of the unaccompanied children at the border are of extreme young age. It's a totally made up number. There's no place to find that. And you don't know what extreme young age is. He's talking about 2 and under. That might be true. There might be very few babies that are crossing the border alone, because how would a baby cross the border alone? That's just ignorant. So he's making up a statistic that nobody fact checked on mainstream media. However, if you look at CNN, they did actually think that he did a pretty poor job. They actually slammed him. Their article directly following it said he had trouble answering the filibuster question, often looked confused, didn't properly answer the migration question, didn't really have a plan at the border. He started it out talking about COVID and, of course, saying how great they're doing. Mathematically, not not exactly the statistics we were looking for, especially when there's no proof to back up the fact that half of the K-8 schools across the country are open. And even so, if only half are open, 35 days to go of his plan of 100 days, having them fully open, which has been a confusing speaking point of the presidency and the administration since they got started. Apparently, they've got 35 days to go from 50% to 100%. And I honestly don't know what world is at 100, is at 50% capacity right now. So I'm curious to see where that plays out. So his COVID response was exactly what he said near the end, which is the reason why a lot of my presidential speaking points are being missed, is because I've been so worried about the COVID crisis. Cool, I agree. It's a big deal. You deal with that. But then why were you campaigning so hard for these other ones? Is that because you were pandering? Is that what that was? It was just a pander to get a vote. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna start looking at comments because I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and start directly because I can honestly go into the way that he's dealing with the border. He legitimately blamed Donald Trump. He goes, Donald Trump's policies did nothing to change the border. He blamed weather issues, tornadoes, hurricanes, warmer weather, a good time to cross the border, on why the massive influx, and not the fact that you've got people wearing Biden let me in t-shirts as they cross the border, which Primetime Patriots, our news wing, were the first ones to report, literally before Newsmax, Fox News, PT, all of them. They were the first ones to actually report that, as we were there with boots on the grounds with Oscar. Like, we've known this is why, and he's ignoring it, and he's saying that that all of the fact that our immigration over the last several years, the last couple of years, has been better. He completely said that what nothing Trump did made a dent, when in fact our immigration numbers were at a almost all-time low in the last several decades. The first year was very, very bad. And Trump started to get aggressive with the border wall, aggressive with the policing at the border, with ICE, etc., separating kids. Although not great at the time, and it didn't look great, it still was sending a message. He sent a message to Mexico. He said, you got to stop this. And you know what? It did. The first year, the reason we had such an influx is because Obama deported more, and people never realized this on the left, deported more illegal aliens than any president in history. The Democrat Obama deported more. So when 11 million people are getting sent back across the border, what they're going to have to start coming back. So at the beginning of Trump's presidency, they're like, all right, we got a new president. Let's give it a shot. And he dealt with it. He called it a crisis. He sent people to the border, and he fortified the borders of the United States, not because he's cruel, not because he doesn't think they deserve a better home, but because of safety. You can't just open the walls, open the doors, and expect everything to go well. I encourage you to go down to a border town and see how they feel right now. As I just left a border town in South Texas, and I can tell you, there is more of the Hispanic population that are starting to think this is utter and complete bullshit than you would actually imagine. So I encourage all of these woke liberals to go down, and I know that I should say woke leftists. I try not to use the word liberal. Woke leftists to go down to a border and talk to the actual Hispanic population that lives at the border and see how they feel. See what they're thinking right now. See how if they've got family across the border, if they've got businesses with all the Mexican cartels going on, all the issues, all of that. See how they feel, instead of assuming that, oh no, peace, love, dope, we should all be letting everybody in. So he then, when he was asked about the border conditions, which he was getting softballs because it's way worse than they were explaining. It's worse than it was during the Trump presidency. If you look at all the people on the floors, kids, parents, adults alike. So he makes up numbers, and then he completely does not talk about how big of a crisis it is. And then he blames Trump, and then takes no responsibility for maybe miscommunication with the South American and Mexican people. This is an issue because it's continuing to not be able to answer the question of what's really going on. If you don't address the problem, you can't fix the problem. If you don't take self-responsibility for the problem, there is no way to fix it. He's sending Kamala down there, that when she was asked about going down to the border, laughed the other day, which, please picture if that was Donald Trump or if that was Pence that got asked the question, like, you're going to go down to the border, and Pence goes, we'll see. They would literally be put through a stake on that. Like that kind of lackadaisical behavior when there's people at the border that are living in sub-zero conditions, which I called out during the Trump presidency. I said the same thing. I said that shit's got to get taken care of. And I know what he was trying to do by separating the kids, because it was sending a message and seeing if that would stop the crisis. And then he realized not a good deal. He turned around in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, changed the policy. Plain and simple. And fact is, right now, Biden pretty much explained that there isn't a lot of children coming alone, which factually is incorrect. They're coming with the coyotes, and they're coming. This is a money making thing that is happening in the country of Mexico, the South American countries, etc. They are getting kids up here to do that. That's what they're using them for. This is a money, and he is so out of touch with reality that he does not even realize that this is a real issue. And by ignoring it and just thinking there's just too many people at the border, I don't know what's going on. It's not going to help anything. And until our Democrat friends that are on our Facebook pages telling me that I'm an asshat for having these kind of opinions, then tell me what's better. Tell me what's actually going on, and tell me what was good about the speech. I'm going to start just for the next 10 minutes looking at questions in the box and on the side, but I want to highlight somebody that went on my personal page, disagreed, went back and forth, and never provided why. I'm typing some stuff, I'm doing some research. When they did their research, every reply that they had to the 10 things that I put, which they replied to about 3 of them, they actually learned they were in agreement that Biden didn't answer this correctly. Biden lied about that. He did wander off in that statement. The reason why he said some things in the way that was organized is based on previous stuff with Jim Acosta and why we have to do press conferences like this. And I don't like the fact that he wasn't allowing reporters into the border areas or into the migrant centers. Did not like that, but I understood why, because of respect to the families. Okay, so you took the time to research and actually agreed that everything about the speech that you actually looked at, 3 of the 10 things that I brought up, were horrible by Biden. They were either lies, issues that didn't make any sense, or were just blatantly bad ideas or lack of self-responsibility. So kudos. So I'm glad you did that. I would love any kind of like, you know what, my bad, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, or I'm going to continue to do my research and learn. That's the great way, because I don't know after all that how you can still go, yeah, he's doing a bang up job. All right, I'm going to look at comments. I think she laughed and said not today because obviously she was boarding a plane like Harris. Let's see. Okay. Like and share. Yes, thank you. Let's see. People that only care about money, selfish. He said no little kids, mostly male. Also not true. I'm praying as well. Sent a message to him, and I will be doing. I'm going to do one whether or not somebody can join me or not, but I'll do a Patreon and we could just have an actual discussion. I know I've been saying it for a while. I was trying to get Eric on. If Eric can come on, great. If not, I'll do it myself. Just make sure you join our Patreon. That's let me try to throw that up there real quick so you guys have that. Just stay tuned for that in the next couple days. I might do one this weekend. I might do some haphazard ones. We can talk politics. We can talk about anything. So make sure you join the patreon.com/BeTheChangeUSA. All right, let's go back to comments. Let's see. I would love to see if there's anybody disagreeing with me, because anybody that can see anything good out of what happened during that press conference. I mean, I was taking notes and I don't have all of them in front of me, but if you can give me a point, I can tell you why it wasn't good. Pretty much. Future more time, I'm gonna say if you have a child. Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing that's happening right now. So with allowing voting rights and a path to citizenship of 10 years, cool. You know what? I get that was part of the platform. Give the rights to the immigrants that are illegally here, that really, asylum seekers, etc. But you're giving them full rights to healthcare. They don't have to pay taxes, and you're giving them voting rights. Right. And Biden brought up, sorry about that. Biden brought up the whole thing about how dare we not allow bottled water and snacks in line for voting. That was the Georgia law passed about voting right, about the changing voting. Well, I'm going to tell you, Joe, because you're in charge of this country, and the whole reason that's set in place is to make sure you are not bribing people for a vote. There's a very specific reason why you can't give away shit. Now, you did say we shouldn't be closing polls at 5 p.m. Couldn't agree more. There's a lot of Republicans that feel the same way too. We should have that day should be a national holiday. People should get off work, or you have it plenty long for people to get in at the end of the day. Couldn't agree more. And I don't think a lot of people would disagree. But this whole like harping over, we're trying to give away free stuff to people in line and they won't let us. That's pandering. It's lying. And it's also going against everything that we should know about the voting process, Joe. Granted, I know that you and honest voting don't go really well together. Sorry if that's a little bit of divisive rhetoric, but as I said earlier, you can't end division without being a little bit divisive. Let's see if there's any other fun content. Let's see. There's a lot of drugs going through the border too. This has been an issue since before before Trump. That's why you actually have to police the border. We're learning what lack of police does when you look at Portland, when you look at the defunding in Minneapolis. They're literally begging to have them back. And now what's funny is they're actually asking to make sure police can confiscate certain amounts of guns, which if you've defunded them, how are they going to do that? Okay. Yes, and this is during the Trump campaign. They were separated to confirm that their parents were really their parents. That was part of what he was doing, but it obviously took a huge media spin in the wrong direction, and he remedied it very quickly, not instantly. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Yeah, I saw too much. I watched all of it because here's the problem. Back during the Trump presidency, all my Democrat friends, they would watch 3-minute clips that CNN would put out there, would look at the worst fumbling of the press conferences, find any rhetoric that could be spun. They would chop, cut, and paste it. So I wanted to watch the whole Biden after 65 days in office. I wanted to watch his first ever actual real press conference. And the way that he answered things, the way that he engaged. He also, by the way, he got very snippy for somebody that was supposed to be the peaceful one, the one that's not supposed to get angry at reporters. By the way, angry at reporters that are teeing shit up for him. He still got short with them, and he was mean at points. And I don't care because I didn't care when Trump was mean. But if you're talking about, oh, he was civil, he was intelligent, it's nice to see a man that, it's just nice to people. He wasn't fucking nice. Come on. He wasn't nice. He was not nice when he got challenged. The rare occasion he got challenged. Let's see what else we got. Why don't they have to pay their taxes? Well, it's debate. Like the whole way that the DACA thing works is you're technically not a citizen, so you can get away without paying. There's some very gray areas, but you can get away without paying taxes. So if you look into the actual DACA bill, there is some open language on how that can work. You can technically still get full rights, and you can kind of chintz on your taxes until you actually become a citizen. From what I've read, there is more to learn about that, but that is just based on the basic education that I have. Agreed. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The polls by me have always closed later. I know there's some earlier places, but I'm not totally sure when that is. And I think that, when you talk about the mass shooting stuff coming up, I wish there would have been some kind of discussion about the fact that we have a Syrian-born American with ISIS sympathizing ties that shot up a King Soopers 2 weeks after Syria was bombed by the current presidency, and that's completely ignored. And it's turned into a gun rights issue. And from what I've been reading, he did not legally purchase those firearms because it's very hard for somebody like him to do. So you want that's it. And honestly, I don't want people to agree with me. I want them to see my thought process and understand why I'm not a hateful person, why I might have voted for Donald Trump, why I still deserve to be hired to do certain things, even though I have a different political opinion. Adam Carolla was just on Tucker Carlson tonight, and he even goes, I knew this, the writing was on the wall with this cancel culture and woke mob. 12 years ago, I started a podcast. I haven't looked back. I knew I had to forge my own path. I was like sticking something in the ground, a Native American sticking something in the ground to say, this is my land. No. And he understood that right now he said that anybody in Hollywood or comedy that wants to have a conservative opinion, you will not get hired to do anything unless you are forging your own path or unless you're working with strictly conservatives. That's just the way the world is now, and the woke mob is taking over. And I would love the woke mob to explain to me what the hell I watched today on that press conference. Somebody. All right, I'm going to do, let's see. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Dimension. Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever is going on with his mental decline with Biden. Biden was never the sharpest. Like, you've got Robin Williams used to make jokes about him 10 years ago and his inability to complete sentences. And it wasn't about his stutter. It was about the fact that he just isn't the sharpest president or sharpest politician ever. But he's good at his job because he's been doing it for 50 years without really having anything to stake in the ground. However, he's used racial terminology over the last several decades to maintain a base of following. And I mean, crime reform bill, racial jungle, all these different things. But this is the person we're calling the moral high ground. That was one of the posts that got me started today. It was one of my old best friends. I think her husband finally unfriended me, said that it's nice to have a competent, intelligent, and another word, I can't remember what it was, in the country. It's nice to have him, doing a press conference. What was intelligent about that press conference? There's that joke. They're doing the line that literally went like this when he said it, and they're just putting that out there. And what was competent? What was compassionate? What was kind? He's just because he gasped when a 12-year-old they brought up a 12-year-old that was stuck at the border. And he clearly referenced the Trump presidency, like a 3-year-old girl crying. Like, he's using that photo of a girl crying at the border, which we've learned later had nothing to do with child separation. She was crying because they were stopped at the border because they were trying to cross illegally. Her parent was a few feet off camera, and it was used as this news story that here's Trump separating people. Oh, God, it's miserable. So again, what I challenged on my Facebook page that does have Democrat friends is what was good? What was actually good about that? What was good about that hour of garbage? Tell me so that we can engage in a proper conversation so I can better know what is going through your mind on why there's some positives, because I would love to learn. I would love to know exactly what's happening in your head right now, saying this is the better choice. I noticed very few of my Democrat friends making comments, and the ones that did simply said it's just nice to have him in there. He's just such a good guy. Right. That's what you want leading the country as well. It seems like this is better. Why? So with all that said, I'm going to wrap it up for the evening, guys. Please join the Patreon. I am going to set up. Maybe we'll do a political discussion sometime tomorrow. I have some meetings with our team, with American Snippets, Primetime Patriots. I'll see what I can do. Yeah, we were going to do a full Concert Vengers. This was a one-person Concert Vengers. We were going to do something with Suni, possibly Jelani, but we were full. So we're going to figure it out. We'll get together. We'll do a Patreon Zoom call with whoever is on the Patreon list. Would love to have you guys on there. Would love to talk more. Yeah, exactly. Good guy. Yeah. Oh, and there's also more criminal charges coming out with Hunter. I still think it's amazing to me that Hunter was at the inauguration hugging his father on that stage with that is the biggest slap in the face to the American public. A man that is allegedly in videos with potentially underage, allegedly everything, underage minors, a laptop that's full of essentially stuff that proves his criminality. You've got you've got the FBI investigation. You've got all these different ties. He's got criminal shit coming up right now. And this is a man that's hugging his father who's becoming president on a stage. And we're just completely okay with it. What's this? He's ready to lock us down, make us minions, take our guns. If you listen, he said he was 102. I'll have to watch it again. There was a lot in there that even sometimes it was just kind of, when he would answer a question, he would go so far off the rails that I stopped being able to focus because it had nothing to do with the actual questions. It's just, I don't, because it's clear who is in charge and pulling the strings in this country. Plain and simple. Love it, Melissa. Thank you. And I would love your guys' support. Again, I know that you guys were big behind Cash, and on Patreon, I would talk to you guys too. We've been waiting to do a GoFundMe because we can't get any answers. So for those of you that are still on, we cannot get any answers on who his court-appointed lawyer is for his appeal in Chicago, or not Chicago, I'm sorry, Indiana. Otherwise, if I knew better, I would start the GoFundMe and start to figure out, based on his previous trial, how we're going to be able to afford it. But he's trapped right now in DC for at least another month, awaiting, or approximately another month, awaiting that trial to happen for what's going on out there. And we can't get any answers. It shows how corrupt the justice system is. I might just ask the Patreons, the about 100 of us that follow, or anybody that joins, if it's okay if we start kind of a blind GoFundMe for Cash. And I also encourage you guys. I know Cash had an amazing way of engaging you guys and bringing you in, and you guys assisted him, and he made this his full-time job. He was able to afford to pay for his family. He was able to do all these different things. I've had a background in business, and I've been successful. And for the last year and a half, I've done this thanklessly, and the thank that I get is seeing that I'm helping people and being able to be a part of what this is, what's in the comment box, and helping people realize that they can own their own voice and speak up and all these different things. But if you could, and you wanted to support Be the Change and what we're working on while we are looking for funding, it would be great. Even $5 a month Patreon, you get Motivational Mondays, some extra stuff. I got to get better at the Zoom calls and try to get you guys on there. But I would love more support on Patreon. You guys get more stuff. The more people we have, the more ability and reason that I have that I can continue to do more work on there. But this is it. This is what I do. This is Be the Change, is bringing positivity on, bringing politics on, trying to get all of our teams together with Primetime Patriots, etc. We're going to have new t-shirts, new clothing coming out shortly. This is trying to create a just mega business in terms of podcasts, positivity, and light into this world. So any help, let's see, Clara, if you haven't, it's because Cash is incarcerated right now. So thank you guys for being a part of it. And yes, please help us out. Do a little Patreon support, and you do get some more stuff than just obviously the speeches that we do on here and the shows we do on here, etc. And we'll be offering more stuff as well. So please, guys, help us out. Thank you, guys. Unite. Don't fight. Be a streetlight, because only you could be the change we see in the world. And if you get too stressed out, remember to pray, America, and at the same time, save America. Thank y'all.